They say nothing lasts forever. But what if the key to forever is not in what you have, but what you do? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillah walhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulullah. The Prophet Muhammad told us in the hadith narrated by Al-Mustawrid ibn Shaddad, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be pleased with him, that the example of this worldly life in comparison to the hereafter is like if one of you dipped their finger into a river or into a large body of water. فَلْيَنْظُرْ بِمَا يَرْجَعُ. Let him look and consider how much water he has taken up, how much water he has reduced this body by. And I'd love for you to go try that into any body of water, or even into a bathtub. Just dip your finger, not even cup your hands, and then to consider the amount on your finger in comparison proportionally to the amount of water that's in that container or in that body of water. These are the exact considerations and reflections that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to think about in verse 45 and 46 of Surah Al-Kahf. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَاضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا كَمَاءٍ أَنزَلْنَاهُ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ فاختلط به نبات الأرض فأصبح هشيما تذروه الرياح وكان الله على كل شيء مقتدرا المال والبنون زينة الحياة الدنيا والباقيات الصالحات خير عند ربك ثوابا وخير أملا. Have them consider the example of this worldly life like water that comes down from the skies, rain, and it causes vegetation and agriculture to grow from the earth, and it becomes green and beautiful, pleasing to the eyes, variety, colors, growth, and then all of a sudden it becomes like scattered ash. It becomes barren, scattered by the wind. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able over all things. What's the point of this metaphor? What's the point of this imagery that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving us? He says in the next verse, wealth and children, they are the adornments of this life. They are that same example. And the righteous actions, they are what you should put your hope in. They are more rewarding and more lasting. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to consider all the luxuries, all the comforts, all the things that we enjoy in life as glitter, as adornment. It looks good, it feels good, it's enjoyable, it has utility, but it's not intrinsically fundamental to our purpose in life. It can be a distraction. And even if it is not a distraction, even if it is used in the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it will still come to an end. Why does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the metaphor of seasons over and over? Farmers or gardeners will understand this very well, because every single year we have that reminder that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings life, and then it withers away, and then He brings it back. A similitude for this life. And it's not a coincidence that this example, this metaphor, these verses come at the tail end of the story of the man with two gardens, who experienced this firsthand. Because the end of these adornments, or the withering away of these blessings, doesn't necessarily have to be with death. It can happen in your life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, as a trial for many of us, that these blessings, whether they be wealth, or agriculture, or property, or even loved ones, that they may wither away, their time may come. This cycle might come to its conclusion before the end of our lives, that these blessings are over. In fact, He tells us that about our very own bodies, ourselves, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us from a stage of weakness to then strength. Then that strength becomes weakness and withering in and of itself. So the point of these verses is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to wake up to the reality that this is a part of life. This is a part of the trial. It is by design. And those who reflect and who are able to disconnect these things from their purpose, that they're not fundamental to their existence, they're not intrinsically tied to their connection to their Creator, they will be the ones who succeed. Those who put their hope in the righteous actions that will never wither away, their relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that will be everlasting, that through that will allow them to actually experience these blessings in a greater quantity and quality than ever before in the hereafter, where they will be waiting for them with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is one of the central themes of the entire surah, for us to realize what is real and what is not, what counts and what doesn't, what's worth investing in and tying our hopes to and what is not. And this metaphor of greenery, of growth, of the seasons, is something that we see before our very eyes every single year. And that should be a wake-up call for all of us not to be taken for a ride by the glitter, not to focus so much on the adornments that we forget to see the greater picture.